breakfast at Fishies. You've heard me say it. Let the cake bake. And now I'm going to say it about George Pickens. We live in an microwavable AI time when patience doesn't really seem like a virtue anymore. We got to do it now. We got to do it yesterday. We got to decide now. Go, go, go. And I continue, as you know. By the way, I'm Mike Fisher. This is the Fishbowl. As we put a Sunday behind us and get ready for the Cowboys' next one against my boyhood heroes, the Minnesota Vikings. They're not my adult heroes. I'm a grown man. We'll get you ready for Cowboy Vikings over the course of the week. But the George Pickens story is a big one, and it's going to be a big one as we go into the offseason, too. An offseason, by the way, that I hope doesn't start yet, as the Cowboys keep trying to make it roll. Let the cake bake. I said it about George Pickens a few weeks ago when he was not only on top of the world, he was being described as being otherworldly. Remember the Dak Prescott quote? He's not from here. He's from a different planet. And in that moment, and that was awesome. And the things that Pickens was doing at the time, and by the way, we'll probably do again in the final 4 games, that caused the Nationals and the casuals, and maybe a few of you, fish heads in Cowboy Nation, 77,000 strong, caused some people to say, they need to sign him now. He's better than Lamb. Pay him more than $34 million APY. And what I said then is what I say now. Patience. Because as brilliant as George Pickens is, it turns out he isn't from another planet. He's actually quite human, as he demonstrated in Detroit. And that gives me some more ammunition to argue for some patience here. So I'm going to break it down. George in Jeopardy, my top 10 fish takes this morning. And with your help, get in, get on, be good. I'll review all the comments. By the way, I'm playing golf in a charity tournament this morning, even though I've taken 4 lessons. So I'm going to try to not embarrass myself. So that's why we're like live. And we'll be fish at 6 tonight. Fish take 1, the big picture. Pickens' performance in a big picture way. Dallas swapped a 3rd-round pick for a Steelers risk-reward receiver, and the rewards have been gigantic. He's already set career highs in receptions, 78 yards, 1179, touchdowns 8. More numbers are coming, and he's done more than the entire Steelers receivers room behind him, including the guy they traded for to basically replace him in DK Metcalf. Quote from Dak, I think signing him will be an offseason priority. I'm all in for keeping George, and Dak's voice matters here. Fish take 2, recency bias. Pickens has created this. I mean, it's our stupid brains that do this, but he did this in Detroit, or rather it's based on what he didn't do, kind of in the 44-30 loss. A hint of the immature and irresponsible pouting that kind of pushed the Steelers to do what they did, give up on him. Remember Coach Mike Tomlin there publicly announced in 2024 that George needs to grow up. That reared its ugly head in Detroit. He seemed disengaged, kind of jogging through routes, didn't extend his arms on a Dak Prescott throw that resulted in an interception, committed the weird face masky penalty while he's running a route. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. And then my friend Marcus Mojer says that he had a habit in that game of putting his mouthpiece in only on plays in which he was going to go out for a pass. I don't know if that's true. I'm just passing it on. I'm going to call Marcus on that. But I buy what he's selling there. So was this the real George? Is he now regressing to being the Pittsburgh Pickens? I think that's unfair because 4 quarters doesn't undo 4 months. But fish take 3. Be on time, George. Pickens' 4 good months also doesn't undo 3 years in Pittsburgh that were rather tumultuous. Cowboy sources tell me that they have been dealing with George things. And they're little. They're subtle. He's showing up late here and some growing up to do, like Tomlin said. Timeliness in meeting attendance, stuff like that. Nothing earth-shattering, nothing that the Cowboys haven't dealt with before. Seems like they do it with wide receivers a lot here. And in fact, a friend of the show, Jerry Jones, I can tell you takes personal pride in being able to employ gifted guys that might have a wart. Pickens' gifts are many, his warts are few. Fish take 4, life in the spotlight. Marcus writes that maybe the Cowboys need to figure out how much you want to tolerate here. I don't think he needs to be tolerated. I think he needs to be coached, and he's getting that from Shoddy. I think he needs to be brothered, and he's getting that from CD. He needs to be led, and he's getting that from Dak, and he likes it. He wrote in that Players Tribune thing, the Steelers did right by me. They sent me to the perfect spot in Dallas. He likes the spotlight here. That's a good fit, because some guys don't like it. Some guys aren't good at it. Some guys shrink to it all the time. George has shrunken once. Fish take 5, Pickens versus Sherman. Part of the coaching and the guiding and the brothering of the 24-year-old Pickens is knowing when to pat him on the back and knowing when to kick it in the butt. And that's coaching, that's teaching, that's parenting. The Richard Sherman thing, that controversy exemplifies all this very well. Pickens was at the bottom of a public dog pile. Is at the bottom of a public dog pile after his failure in Detroit. And then Richard Sherman, the former NFL DB, who did that game for Prime, he's on national TV saying Pickens was disinterested and disengaged. The same thing that we all said. But George didn't like that Sherman said it. And so he went on social media, and I mean P word and A word and S word and all the words. But diddly diddly dink, can't find that post anymore. He took it down. Scheinheimer said that he would be speaking to George about the post, but overall he seems unfazed by it. Maybe that's because he told George to take it down. And he did that. Came to his senses, or somebody told him to come to his senses. Maybe that counts as maturing. Shoddy, I'm going to judge George on his body of work, and his body of work shows that he's an elite player. Yes. He is rare. He is from this planet, but he is rare. Fish take 6, the shifting price tag. And this is where this is really going. Yeah, of course you want George Pickens on your team. How much do you want him on your team? He came here with a lot of people thinking that a good year might get him $25 million APY as he entered 2026 free agency. As this season has matriculated, that number has been growing. Came to be viewed as a $30 million guy, then as a $34 million guy, which would match Pickens with Lamb, who's presently the 3rd highest paid receiver in NFL history. And yes, Pickens fading in one game, yes, it will. This will be factored in. It has to be, and it should be. The Joneses, they shouldn't beat him up with it. They don't even have to say it, but they need to have it in their heads as they're trying to figure out the number. And the rest of the NFL will do the same. Fish take 7, George's job interview. Some will say that one of the reasons that he's had a great year and been on good behavior mostly is because he's a contract year, and this happens all the time in sports. By the way, you know where else it happens? In your office. If you're up for a raise or up for a promotion, don't you show up to work a little earlier? Shave a little closer? Sit up a little taller? Stay a little later? And all the time hope the boss notices? I do. I mean, if I had a boss, I would. I do it for sugar. What the Cowboys don't want here is buyer's remorse. And they have to think about that. That's why the price tag matters so much. But Jerry's making it sound like they're beyond that. He's outstanding teammate. Just between us girls. Bottom line, it's working. So bottom line, they're going to keep him. Fish take 8. Can they pay both? Good fellas. Yes, and more yes. This is another one of those nationals and casuals problems. You don't have to. You might not. But you can pay 2 wide receivers 34 and 30 or whatever. In fact, I've already told you what they're going to do. They're already planned, and I'll get to it in a minute. We, exclusive, broke that story. We also have explained to you how the Cowboys in 7 steps, can create $110 million of cap room next spring. 7 simple steps. They can have all the room they want to have to do all the things they want to do. I've never understood about this idea, well, you can't pay 2 receivers. I can pay 5 offensive linemen a lot of money. I just can't pay the 6th. I can pay 2 receivers a lot of money. I just can't pay the 5th. I can pay 1 quarterback a lot of money. I can't pay 3 of them a lot of money. There's nothing wrong. If talent is talent, if you have the 2 best safeties in football and you pay them that way, that's a good thing. The Cowboys have access to having 2 of the best receivers in football, maybe the best receiving tandem in football. That's a good thing, and I can do it. They can do it. Dallas has been very vocal from the start about Lamb and George being 2 number 1 receivers. I'm going to assume that agent David M. is going to mention that. He's going to say, you guys are the one that said he's like a number 1. He's just like CD, so maybe you should pay him just like CD. That will come up. Fish Take 9, the scoop on the plan. I've told you this before. I'm going to say it again. I've already been told the easy path, we're just going to franchise him. Franchise tag him. $28 million guaranteed. That's not an insult. It's a big number. It's not 34, but it's a big number. It's not 4 years, but it's a big number. It bridges the gap between top dollar and great second receiver money. And it accomplishes something else. It allows everybody involved to let the cake bake. Do you have this much doubt about who the real Pickens is? Then let's see him play at a Pro Bowl level again next year. Let's see him prove it while earning a fine and fat guaranteed salary one more time. That's what the franchise tag can be for. Now, again, you can tag him and keep negotiating. So you could tag him at $28 million, and then eventually he says, I'll sign for 29 or 30 or 34, whatever. But tagging him is the easy option, and it is the plan. And finally, Fish Take 10, the final word. In the end, I think Cowboys Nation might be shocked at how little things have really changed here. Because he had one bad game. The post-Detroit hit to his public reputation is real, but I think it's temporary. Privately, for instance, I'll give you an example. Straight dope, no bullsh. You think Steelers fans don't wish he was doing this there? For all the immaturity and the pouting and the backbiting, you think they wouldn't like to have George Pickens on their team? Bet you they would. There's 4 games left in the season. 4 games for Pickens to reestablish who the real George is. And that he simply experienced a blip on radar bad day. That's where the Cowboys are. That's where George is. That's where I am. And I want you to sit here with me on George Pickens. Let the cake bake. Fish out.